from two different people. But my name is Nik Pry. My wife and I, Alexis, have been coming to TFC for a couple of months now. And my evidence of grace is God's consistent presence in my life regardless of the circumstances. Honestly, I could share about this for hours, but I'm going to try to wrap it up in just a couple of minutes. But no matter where I turned or where I ran, no matter where I was, God surrounded himself with me. And I'm going to share a quick example of this in my life, and it goes back to my freshman year of college. I came into college with a lot of expectations. I came in on a baseball scholarship to the University of North Carolina and had an idea of how I was going to play and how much I was going to play and how well I was going to play. In my freshman year, I played 5 innings and had an ERA of about 3 football scores, so it did not go very well on the field. At the same time, I went through a fairly heavy season of loss where I had friends and family members, about a dozen over the span of 2 years, pass away from different things, whether it was cancer, Alzheimer's, brain tumors, gun violence, a number of different things where it just kind of felt like the weight of the world was kind of compounding itself on top of me. And it all started during this time when I was on my own, away from a community that I had built in my hometown, and I had this new one that the Lord eventually developed. Also during this time, I broke up with my girlfriend, who was a great woman, because mainly I wanted to isolate myself. I wanted to crawl into this hole and hide, right? I wanted to hide from the world, hide from my pain, and just barrow down. I felt like in Psalm 5 where David's just kind of crying out, and his prayers are cries and moans, and that's pretty much all I had for God at the time. I didn't have anything that I could go. I didn't have any way of really expressing my pain. I just cried to him. And in that moment, he still heard them and he still answered them nonetheless. I can look back at my playing career and know that God did not love me any more or less based off the results I had, based off my success on the field. I know that he loved me the same, right? Kind of going into it, I was a Christian at the time, but I had this idea of I had to play well and perform well in order to gain his love. I know that is not true now. Even though I tried to hide and isolate, God had gone before me to plant people and plant seeds in my life of different men of God who walked alongside me during this time, who kept me from isolation, even though I wanted to go there, and who shared my burdens with me. And they made that time that felt like a unbearable weight. They shared it, and they helped lift me out of the hole that I dug myself into, and the circumstances I've dug myself into, and they got me out of it. They carried me at times, and they walked alongside me at times. And finally, the girlfriend that I had broken up with, he ended up reaching back out to me. I say I broke up with her, but it was more like, hey, I want nothing to do. I want to be completely alone. She reached back out. We ended up talking some more. We got back together, and she's been my wife for the past 2 years. But when I look back on this time, I still feel the hurt and grief of that loss and those losses. But I can clearly see where God had intervened, where he stepped in, where his handiwork was. And it's not something that I had anything to do with. I can see that his love never wavered, never changed. And I can see that there were times where it was only him. It was only him that walked alongside me, and at times it was only him that carried me through those times. Right? I felt like I was alone at times, but I look back now and I can see it was the God of creation who carried me through those moments. I'm going to finish with Psalm 139, verses 7 through 12, because I feel like, these were just some of the greatest verses in the Bible that David writes us, and it says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light will become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you." And for me, these are some of the most powerful verses in the Bible, and it speaks so true to what God has done in my life. And it's a gratefulness and a grace that I can never repay and I can never earn. So thank you, church, for letting me share, and this is my evidence of grace.